Hey everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. Last year we had a bumper crop of garlic and this year wasn't as great. We had some hail early on in the season and so the bulbs didn't size up nearly as wonderfully as they did the previous year. So I had quite a bit of garlic left over from last year's harvest, so it's stored all winter long. I don't like to throw anything out, so I'm going to dehydrate the leftover garlic and make garlic powder. So I thought I'd take you through the process with me. So the first thing I do, of course, is to break up the garlic bulbs into individual cloves. If you grab a hold of the center stick and run your fingernails along the edges of an actual clove, then it's easier to rip the paper open. Now once you have the cloves singulated, now it's time to peel them, and they'll peel really easily because of the fact that they've been stored in storage for quite some time. So they're slightly dehydrated. It's easy to just cut the bottom of each of the cloves and just literally roll them out of their outer skins. Lovely. Now you could hand cut each slice about 1/8 of an inch thick and carefully place them on your trays. When you filled all the trays, take the cover of the dehydrator, place it on the top rack, start it, and set the temperature control to 125, which is the setting for drying vegetables. It's about 2 in the afternoon and I'm going to let this go until morning, and by that time it should be completely dehydrated. Good morning. So it's been about 18 hours since I started dehydrating the garlic. If I lift the lid here and grab a chip, it's still running and you can see it's pretty crispy. Just a tip, put a cookie sheet underneath the bowl so you can catch some of the pop-outs. A lot of times you'll have bits and pieces that are stuck to the tray and it can make a mess if you're not careful. And here's the final tray. Look at all that lovely garlic. Now you could decide to pulse this garlic and make it into garlic bits rather than powder, or grind it completely and make it into as fine a powder as you would like. Your choice. Now the other option, if you do not want to stand and slice all your garlic, is to use a food processor. This is a KitchenAid processor and I've got my slicing blade in there. And I've prepared my garlic cloves. Now the one thing about this is that you're going to have a lot more bits and pieces than you would if you were hand cutting them. It's not as precise, obviously, but I'll show you how to deal with that in just a minute. A lot more bits and pieces, but very quick. Now the trick to using this method is to use one of these tray liners. So this would be what you would use if you were making jerky or fruit leather. So you just put it in your tray and sprinkle your garlic all around. So I'm going to put this in my bottom tray, and I'm not going to load this tray quite as thick as I normally would. And about a quarter, and again at about midway through the drying process, I'll go in and just give this a stir to make sure that they're drying evenly. So now my next step is I've got quite a bit of garlic left to put on trays, and I'm gonna put it on just a regular tray, and little bits and pieces are gonna fall through onto the mat, but that's okay because it'll catch it. So I'm just gonna use my regular trays up above, and that bottom tray with that finer mesh is gonna catch those little pieces and prevent them from falling to the bottom, which wouldn't matter that much either, in that they will dry down there because there's airflow flowing through this center tube and going down through the bottom. So even any pieces that would fall through will be fine. This is a really good method for preparing your garlic. If you have a food processor, you can cut this process down significantly. So I had a lot less cloves for this batch, so I'm only going to be using 3 trays here instead of the full stack. There we go. I think I'm going to take a few more of these from the bottom rack and put it up here. It's a little less thick down there. Okay, I think we're ready to set this. I'm gonna put my dehydrator back on, set it to 125. And turn it on. And once again, good morning. And here is our final product. You can see how nicely it dried. The finer bits and pieces and the thinner slices made for a much quicker dry time than hand slicing them. The pieces are really nice and crispy dry, perfect for garlic powder. So this is my Bosch bread mixer, and it actually has a blender attachment. This is what I use to grind up my garlic powder. I usually grind up about 1 cup of garlic chips at a time till it's even. And I start on a pulse. Get it pretty much chopped up, then I turn it on for a solid stint. If you wanted to do the garlic chips, just continue to pulse if your blender has that capability, and you'll be able to control the fineness that you would like. You could also use a bullet type processor, and you have to do smaller batches though, so I'm going to put in about 1/2 cup. We'll just see how this works. I'm going to pulse a little more, then hold it steady. Might get some of the pieces that might tend to settle. See how nice and fine that is? Oh, I can see powder just exuding from there. So that can work too. So use what you have. So that's the process we use for making dried garlic. It's very simple, and you will have loads and loads of garlic to use in all your cooking adventures. Enjoy.